Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the New Orleans Jazz Museum, New Orleans Jazz Historical National Park, I bid you welcome. The National Park Service's mission is to preserve, protect, and cultivate a further appreciation for our national treasures, culture, and monuments. With that being said, one of our cultural treasures is our music. Here today, we're going to present to you Talkin' Jazz with Mr. Fred Kasten. I tease him all the time. I say I grew up on his voice. He's only slightly older than I. But once again,
40 years slight, right?
Once again, Mr. Fred Kasten and Talkin' Jazz.
Thank you very much, Kerry. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here this afternoon, where we are very, very pleased to have as our guest an artist who has contributed a delightful additional flavor to our New Orleans musical cuisine over the last some years, and the last few years actually residing here with us, native of Havana, who we now claim as a New Orleanian, at least for the moment. And her wonderful trio here today to talk some about her life and experiences in music, and then this great trio to play for you. So we're going to let them kick it off with some music. Please welcome over here on the drums and cymbals, Mr. Yafet Perez. At the electric bass, this is Nick Benoit. And ladies and gentlemen, on guitar, trace guitar, and vocals, the fabulous YUSA.
Thank you. Okay, I was thinking, thank you so much, Fred, this is so amazing, that I wanted to start with one of the songs that, keeps me grounded, because it has to do with my roots, with, in Cuba, because I'm from Havana, from Cuba. And this, the journey started with the guitar. I studied classical guitar, so, and then I just try to put together all the pieces I have loose for, to be grateful to my culture, So I will start with something like kind of classical, and then I will get to the YUSA craziness.
Yala watakioke orichao baba Yala watakioke orichao baba Yala watakioke orichao baba Hey loro que lo ba Baba loro que lo ba Loro que lo ba Baba loro que lo ba Baba loro que lo ba Loro que lo ba ba ba. Loro que lo ba ba ba. Loro que lo ba ba ba. Loro que ni. Façon de vivre, son devant de ton destin, les signes de liberté, en quoi voir tout en arrière. Peut-être battant de demain, tout n'est pas encore mort. Les soins sont les combustibles et la mort, l'aliment du corps. C'est de l'air d'embarquer, dernier avis. La vie nous appelle, on va recommencer à zéro, à vivre. Don't miss the chance to see how the color of all things change. Faith. Chao, baba, hasta aquí yo que loro que lo va, baba loro que lo va, loro que lo va, baba loro que lo va, orichao, baba, loro que lo va, baba loro que lo va. Loro que lo ba, loro que. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Un otro, por favor. One more.
One more? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, let me tune the guitar because it's, I'm working on my new album, so I love to work with open tunings and and when I opened the guitars today, I was okay. I will start with this song. He knows everything about that. That song name was Haiku de Paz. I don't know if you know what the haiku is. It's that kind of poems, and the concept of that album is a haiku album, it has to do with the feelings, with the, with our environment, and and that's this song that album start with this song. It's a mess like the guitar. It's so hard for me to play when I'm seated. It's like I'm like yeah, because I have so many energy, even when I'm rehearsing in my house, I'm like, I don't know.
Ay, no sé cómo sacar ese golpe que llevo dentro. Si al final la noche termina y te anudas al centro, ay, no sé cómo sacar ese golpe que llevo dentro. Si al final la noche termina y te anudas al centro del mismo cuerpo. Vamos a mirarnos por dentro. Échale tierra al acontecimiento, que en el camino van a crecer piedras antes que amanezca. Y dale rueda, 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 rueda las ideas que tienen luz roja en la cabeza. Ten cuidado que la modernidad te usa como pieza de vestir. Oye bien, ay, no sé cómo sacar ese golpe que llevo dentro. Si al final la noche termina y te anudas al centro, ay, no sé cómo sacar ese golpe que llevo dentro. Si al final la noche termina y te anudas al centro. Y a la al acontecimiento, que en el camino van a crecer piedras antes que amanezca. Y dale rueda, rueda, rueda las ideas que tienen luz roja en la cabeza. Ten cuidado que la modernidad te usa como pieza de vestir. Oye bien, ay, no sé cómo sacar ese golpe que llevo dentro. Si al final la noche termina y te anudas al centro, ay, no sé cómo sacar ese golpe que llevo dentro. Si al final la noche termina y te anudas al centro. My favorite moment of this song, because it's the moment when everybody sings with me in Spanish, you know. Yeah, nobody told you about that, you know. But you are the group, you are the band, you know. You are part of the band today, you know. And this chorus is like very simple because, you know, it's the name of the song is "Taking the Center," you know. And it's about, you know, when that we are really present and we have to be aware of modernity, you know, because sometimes we can lose our traditions too, you know. And that's why I'm always keep going, you know, insisting and playing all my roots and be who I am right now in the 21st century, but always, you know, like thankful for my, you know, for my ancestors. So the coro goes like this. Goes dale, dale, rueda. Rueda is the wheel, you know. When you say dale rueda, is, you know. Dale rueda, yeah. Fred, you can say, good boys, man.
Yeah, baby. Dale
Dale
rueda.
rueda, yeah, you know. Let's try the chorus. Dale rueda, I want to hear you all cantando dale rueda.
Dale, vuela.
No importa si en el camino se te cruzan los problemas.
Dale, vuela.
Hoy es el llanto, mañana será el canto y una música que llega.
Dale, vuela.
Deja que llegue el amor así, así con su manera.
Dale, vuela.
Tú dale rueda y
Dale, vuela.
oh yeah, oh God, it's the buzz inside and out of you, darling. Feel me, I'm inside of you.
Dale, vuela.
Oh no, 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 dale, don't stop the party, dale, dale,
Vuela.
dale, rueda, dale, rueda, dale, dale, rueda, no quiera, no viene, dale, rueda, ay, ay, dale. Oye, de Cuba traigo mi canto, de Cuba traigo este llanto, dale, rueda. Hey, hey, hey. Dale, rueda, ya fue, dale, rueda, ya fue. Dale, rueda. Dale, rueda. Dale, rueda. Dale, que la vida es una sola y es para disfrutarla entera. Soy yo. Ja, 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 dale, rueda, no llegue, no cayó en la arena. Dale, ¿qué va a pasar cuando suba y baje la marea? Dale, que la vida es una sola y es para disfrutarla entera. Dale, rueda.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, over there on the drums, Mr. Yape
Yape.
Perez. Our man on bass, Nick Benoit, and YUSA. Wonderful. YUSA,
Gracias. Thank you so much.
the journey has brought you our way in recent years, but it started in Havana. What neighborhood you grow up in there?
Well, I grew up in Vedado, then in Buena Vista. So I was no, I didn't grow up there, but I was there for a few years.
A few years.
Yeah, and then I moved out to the east side of Havana, from the seashore. You know, the sea was my playground.
So right on the water?
Oh yes, it's just in front of the water. You know, it was like there. Yeah,
So-
I used to study there. You know, bring the guitar, study there. All, you know.
Well, you started guitar, I read it, at 6. What drew you to guitar?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know really, because it's my mom. My mom always said that it was so for her. It was like, okay, you're just going to be like a guitar player or something, because when I was like 3 years old, I was staying in a friend of my mom's house. It was like a nanny. She was from Spain. And she took care of me some days, you know, and I was there, and she had a guitar, and her children play guitar, and I was like, okay, I want to play the guitar, and you know, and I was like, you know, driving my mother crazy, you know, about the guitar. I want the guitar, I want the guitar, I want the guitar, and at the end she was, okay, take the guitar, and she bought me a guitar, but a small guitar, and for me it was like a fake with guitar, because it was say, what is this? You know, it was like a guitar that for kids. I said, are you kidding me? I need a real guitar. What is it? And my mom was like, okay, maybe I have the wrong guitar, you know. And suddenly, well, after I got a guitar and a teacher, you know, with my first step, that taught me the first step on the guitars, the chords, and like traditional songs and like boleros and
That was on a standard Spanish classical guitar.
Yeah, no, it was like the traditional, you know, the Cuban songs, you know.
The song.
Yeah, some of the classicals and Brazilians, but mostly chords and that kind of things. You know.
Right. Well, did you like it right away?
Oh yes, I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. And eventually, well, like a few years, like 2 years after, I get into the classical school. So I made all the exams to get into the classical training, and where I spent all my life there. So for more than 15 years.
Now, in addition to guitar, you probably expanded to other instruments.
Yeah,
in
when
that
you
situation.
study, when you study classical training in Cuba, they call it like a special schools because you spend the whole day at the school. You are doing your regular classes in the morning. You take lunch there at the school, and then at the evening all the musical classes, and you have everything like theory, morphology of music, history of art, aesthetic, all those kind of things. You know, piano is like a mandatory. That no matter what instrument you play, you should have piano. And all those instruments, they go to say you cannot pick one or the other. Well, this is what you have, you know, all this, you know, and then you kind of like, you know, like. Because you spend all day there, you know, because the regular classes in Cuba, you have normally or in the mornings or the evening, and but you don't get you don't have to be the whole day at the school. Or in my case, I had to be the whole day since 7 in the morning till 5, from Monday to Saturdays. You know,
6 days a week.
Yeah, Saturdays in the morning, just for the instrument, the specialty. But yeah, that was
so pretty intense.
Oh yes,
experience.
Yes, Soviet training.
Right. Yeah.
That was hard.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that, but I love it. If I was born again, I would like to do it the same way.
Yeah.
Because it was marvelous, you know, when you are in the school surrounded by art, you know.
Wow.
And all my classmates were musicians or visual arts artists,
Various artistic
ballerinas,
disciplines.
And that was my, my everyday life, and that was marvelous, really. That was amazing.
Did you listen to a lot of music outside of that experience? What were kind of things, if just on your own time, were you listening to in those days?
My own time was like kind of like this.
About this much?
Yeah, yeah. But no, in Cuba, you are surrounded by music all over. It's all like over. Here in New Orleans. That is what is very similar from New York. That you get at the airport and you listen to the music and on the streets you are listening to the music, and even when people talks here, is you can feel the rhythm, the music, and that is the same thing I experienced in Cuba. Even if you are in a classical training school, outside is everybody's yelling, give me some salt, or give me, it's like, because Cuba is an island, and everybody's like, it's outside, you knock everybody's door, it's like you don't need permission to go to a friend's, of yours. It's just like jump into, Fred, you give me some egg, and then I give you back later, that kind of things. Right. And it's the same with the music, and it's music all over, and even my mother, my parents, they both listen a lot of music. My father was an engineer, a mechanical engineer from the Navy. Mm-hmm. And he loves all the Barry White songs, because, can you imagine a person who's spending Barry all White. The year in, sailing, 11 months of the year on the sea, Right. And when he came back, he didn't know how to be grounded, because he was all the time,
Get his
and for
ground
us,
legs
always,
back,
always, he didn't know how to stay, yeah. And when we was there, he was listening to Barry White. He loved that kind of thing, A lot of Barry White, a lot of the Supreme. My mom loved the Supremes, and a lot. When I grew up, I was born in the 70s, in '73, and I listened a lot of music. That moment was amazing in Cuba because we had influence from all over the world,
Right.
all over from music from Latin America, from you know, from the United States a lot. Even before it wasn't allowed to listen like American music, we tuned all the radio station, and in
Right.
front the sea was the best, you know, because the frequency was perfect, you know. And I used to watch a lot of like video that channel VH1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was perfect. The perfect channel. It was like, you know, and that was the, you know, the way we get used to, you know, to share music and to with our, you know, neighborhoods, our musicians. They bring music and CDs, and we burn the CDs. We are the masters in burning CDs, because can you imagine there is not a store to sell CDs in Cuba? So that was our way to share the music. And so I listen a lot of music, a lot of classical, of course, because I was studying classical music, a lot of classical music. In the National Library in Cuba, there is a floor that is just for, it's the floor for the musicians, you know? That we get there with the vinyls to get all the, you know, all the classical music we need for the classes or for the school.
For the class,
And we need just always listen Bach and Beethoven and all, you know, all the classics. You know.
So across the culture and from school to the rest of the culture, you're just immersed in music
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
What about? I know you write lyrics. Were you a reader? Do a lot of reading as a youngster?
Oh yes, I love to read. I love it. And even when it takes me a while to start writing songs, because I have so much respect for you know, for the writing and for writers, you know, that it wasn't until I was working with drama plays and making music for dramas or for plays.
Some incidental music. Yeah.
And that was you know, the hook for me to start writing lyrics, because that was my first experience outside the classical music. You know,
Right.
was like making music for dramas and working with all the, you know, the writers and the dramaturgia and even the way I make my music is kind of very has a lot of emotions, like, you know, actions, like in a theatrical way, you know.
Oh, right.
So, and I love that kind of.
You envision a kind of scene
Yeah, and
that
everything
you're
like-
trying to
Yeah.
convey.
Yeah, and everything is when I see the music like this, you know. That everybody has their own, so everything has their own space.
Right.
And everything sounded at the same time, you know, with different levels, and that's why when I make music, I kind of like have everything, like the bass, the percussion, the guitars. I have everything at the same time. So it takes more time for me to put it in you know, on paper.
Right.
That because for me it's easy that I have here and I have a you know, the strings and I'm listening to everything, you know.
Right.
And that's because of the dramas, all the plays that I was working with, you know. And that's for me that's one of the most amazing you know, forms of art, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah.
Nice to have that collaborative experience too, working with other artists as you
Oh,
do.
yes.
So many people in,
Oh yes,
in theater.
Yes, and I'm visual artist as well. I love to, you know, to create different way of making my music, because it's because every day we feel different, and even, you know, and that kind of things with the plays is very at the moment what is happening in the moment. Even the reaction of the audience now. This is just now. This is just happening now. It's impossible to predict this, you know, because I don't know if you're gonna like it or not. But this is me. This is who I am. I don't know how to do different, because all the pieces I have right now are the pieces you get. No, you know. And hopefully you like it and you feel like touched about the music and about the spirit of my journey. You know.
One of the things that you got deeply involved with after some years at the conservatory was the trace guitar, and I want to talk with you a little bit about that after we hear some more music.
Oh yeah, of course.
So more music now from YUSA and the trio, ladies and gentlemen.
Gracias. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna play a bolero, a classical bolero. This is one of my parents taught me, when I was a little one. Nick Benoit. That was hard one. I'm seated. Let's try that again. It's seated. Never works. Okay. Aunque lejos estemos tú y yo, siempre unido estará nuestro amor, añorando tan solo el momento de estrecharnos con loca y tenaz pasión. Ni siquiera logré imaginar me quisieras lo mismo que yo, aunque siempre en mi pecho callaras la quietud que al tus ojos mirar me ahogaba. Pero hoy
logro decirte que te quiero, que tú eres todo lo que volveremos a vernos los dos. Trataremos el tiempo borrar. No tendremos en cuenta razones que no sean las de nuestros corazones. Oh, no, no, yeah, la, 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 yeah. Pero hoy rompo las cadenas del silencio. Logro decirte que te quiero, que tú eres todo lo que anhelo. No, 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 yeah. Volveremos New Orleans a vernos los dos. Trataremos el tiempo borrar. No tendremos en cuenta razones que no sean las de nuestros rompo las cadenas del silencio, logro decirte que te quiero yo. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, after that bolero, maybe we can jump to a cha-cha-cha. You can dance a cha-cha-cha. I know maybe this is like a weird feeling that I'm seated here and you are seated there, and now you are like me, like here, like, but you can stand and and dance the cha-cha-cha. Do you know how to dance the cha-cha-cha? Well, let's try the cha-cha-cha. At least it's cold outside. Let's try the cha-cha-cha. Desnudo está el cajón de esa fascinación. Se abre la espera de mi maleta para una fábula. Lejos de la estación se paró el reloj. Tiempo del brazo empuja mi ando, bebiendo las olas del mar que se me levanta enfermo como un ruido o un suceso para una ocasión. En esta canción sin paz se me adelgaza la esperanza, y en la esquina hay una danza, mueve una ilusión, salta en la razón. ocurrido o un suceso para una ocasión. En esta canción sin paz se me adelgaza la esperanza y en la esquina hay una danza, mueve una ilusión, salta en la razón. Oye, de República Dominicana, Yafé llegó. Ore, 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 oh. Café Pérez llegó a la casa, cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. Canten conmigo el cha-cha-cha ahora. Oye, I want to hear you cantando cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha, oh yeah, feel me, I'm down beside of you. Cha-cha, ay, tell me that loneliness is no bigger and stronger. Cha-cha, tell me that loneliness is no bigger and stronger than you. Cha-cha, I feel me, I'm inside of you. Cha-cha, el cha-cha-cha te traigo de Cuba ahora. Cha-cha-cha, óyelo, cantador. Cha-cha-cha, en la bodega se baila así. Entre frijoles, papaya aquí. Oye, en mi orden se baila el cha-cha, se canta así. Cha-cha, 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 oye muchacha, cha-cha, ay, qué rico, buena hora. No, 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 no. Cha-cha-cha. Well, cha-cha-cha, oye cha-cha, cha-cha, muchacha, cha, urugu cha-cha, urugu cha-cha, urugu cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. Ay, sabroso, smooth and easy. Qué rico suena. Ay, 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 cha-cha-cha en la escuela. Oh, New Orleans knows to cha-cha-cha. Oye, tú sabes, tú puedes. Cha-cha-cha. Everybody speaks Spanish right now. Cha-cha-cha. El cha-cha-cha está llegando ahora. Cha-cha-cha. Hello, is the cha-cha-cha you're looking for? Cha-cha-cha. I know. Cha-cha. Don't miss the chance to see how the cha-cha-cha is getting you. Oh, the cha-cha-cha. En un ladrillito, cha cha cha, suavecito, cha cha cha, cha cha cha. Una vez más.
Cha-cha-cha, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, Yafet Perez at the drums. Nick Benoit, our ace of bass.
That was good.
The fabulous YUSA. YUSA, one of the things that you really began concentrating on at the conservatory was the trace guitar.
Yes.
Trace 3 in Spanish. Does it combine aspects of other instruments?
Yeah, it's like a cousin of the lute, you know.
the mandolin, or it's like a kind of, because it came with when the Spaniards came to Cuba with the colony, they brought the lute, and then they settled down in the farmers, in all those regions in the island, and then that instrument developed, into
over
this.
time,
Yes,
yeah.
with this kind of instrument. This is like the modern version of the tres, because the one the other one, the classic I have some injuries. Now it's in the hospital. He's wounded, but this is a beautiful instrument. The luthier from LA, he made it for me, and it's so beautiful because he emulate the sound of the tres, the classical instrument, and this is beautiful. But yeah, I'm the first graduated in that instrument because the guitar. So they were like a musicologist in Cuba. They were trying to get that instrument. It was the only traditional instrument that it didn't were part of the conservatory, of the classical training. And they were trying for many years to get that instrument into the classical, and they were no, because we don't care the instrument, and that's a shame because it's about like the cha-cha-cha, the song, the bolero, that we don't listen that kind of music anymore, And even the young generations, they don't know about those instruments. They don't know about the boleros, the cha-cha-cha, the song, the dance song. They don't know nothing about it. And even the classical, because it's really, all the classical training is always has been very, elite, and they were like trying to put behind that part of the history in Cuba history, when all the greatest musicians in Cuba, all Harold Gramach, the maestro Harold Gramach, he's one of the greatest composers and and teachers at the high school and at the college for arrangements and composing. And he was one of the first who brought all the traditional instruments and roots into the classical music.
Oh.
And yes, and that's amazing. Like Chucho Valdés and all of them, they studied that kind of classical music that it was integrated with our roots. And for many years they were trying. And at the end, when I was in the school, in the second level of the conservatory, they came up with the idea that to start the tres career, and but you had to come from the guitar, classical guitar. You have to,
go through that first, and then you could try the tres.
And then nobody wants it. Nobody will say, the tres. That's for farmers. That's music for
Right.
And at that time, it was like kind of hard for me because I had in that second level, I have the most incredible experience that I never get through before. That it was about the prejudice, the racial prejudice, when I was in that conservatory, because you start the first is elementary from second grade to ninth grade, and then you upgrade, and that's when you become the full, classical musician, and that second level is in another school. And when I get there, so can you imagine, you are like 10, 15 or 20 musicians made the exam for the upgrading, and just 3 or 5 get into the school, And so I was there, and the first years and everything, but the teachers I had, it was wow, that was quite something, And that was strange for me because he was like, okay, who told you that black people study that music? And he was every day, and that was my teacher, my guitar classical teacher. So I didn't have a way to change it,
Right.
And then when they came back, and for me it was very strange because even in Cuba that we have with that cultural, because we can talk like a cultural prejudice, almost all the families in Cuba are mixed, you know.
Right.
Because I have grandparents from Africa, from Spain, from France, from India. So I have all that in my blood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because and when I deal with that when I was 15 years old. So that was for me like, what is happening in Cuba? That's you know.
Yeah.
But it was classical training, obviously. You know, for some reason I would be touched by that, you know. And then they came up with the dress and everything, and I was like thinking, you know, because it was hard for me every day, the class I have the most, you know, because I have three times a week that class for 2 hours, you know. And then I was thinking, and there were no the dress, and I was like, okay, nobody likes the dress. It's a traditional instrument, and I have to keep going with the classical guitar, but not with him, because I changed the specialty, you know.
Right.
So
Don't want to subject
so
yourself to that
other,
6 hours
yeah,
a week.
to another classical guitar player, like a piano or you know. And at that moment I decided to change the specialty and and then I just I was deciding the lute or the dress. I saw that the lute was like a lot of strings. I said no. I said no way, no, because I was so sad, you know. I was devastated. For me that was I wanted to get out of the school in that moment, and I wanted to get into the military training. And you know, it was like, okay, no, it would be military, and it would be like, wow, you know. And my mother was like, what, you know? Yeah, no, I want to study math, you know, nuclear math, because I love math, you know. And she said, okay, yeah, but you were being always musician, and you will be always, yeah, I will be like my father, that he was in the Navy, and blah blah blah, and I will have the you know, the training of the march, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that will be with percussion. I will be fine. Mama said, no way. And that was a big deal in Cuba, because my mother is an economist, but she works normally with schools, and you know, and teachings are you know, all the programs. And she get so mad, and she went to the principal, and blah. It was like bad. And then all the teachers were, no, but why don't you stay on the thread? Please stay, and you know, because I was like the guitar player, because I was the guitar player in the school, because you get just one in every
in that class.
yeah, in that level, you know. And then they convinced me, and the no, why don't you start the classical threads, because we need a classical guitar player, blah blah blah. And then I started studying classical threads. That was my beginning with the dress. At the beginning, I was so angry that I went through all the book, and I ran out of repertoire, you know, because I was every day like, I want to get this, you know. And then it was the first year, and I just finished the 4 years in 1 year, and they were like, okay, you know, and that was. But then I love it, because I always love it. Even my grandmother used to watch a TV program that is for they only always show that kind of
more traditional.
yes, with tres players and singers, and with improvisation, and it was so beautiful that I fell in love. It was the reason at the end that I found.
So out of a difficult situation, you were able to evolve it into something productive for you.
Yeah, and it's always it's a good thing, because it's the experience. I'm that person doesn't define the person who I am right now, you know.
Right.
And my mom always support me into that. So it was for me when you are surrounded by love. It's like it's impossible. There's nothing touches. It's experience, and you learn from it. You know.
Let's,
Yeah.
just for a minute, tell us some of the differences between the guitar in your hands and the trace. What is it about the trace that
Well,
distinguishes it?
Yeah, the trace it has 3 double strings. Has another tuning. The classical, one of the tunings that when you study classical, it's like this one, like the guitar, E, B, G. But for like Baroque and that kind of styles, it's better to use an open C.
Open.
An open C. Sometimes you use an open D too. But you have with this instrument you have 1 octave, you know.
Right.
1 octave here, but and the traditional you have always as well 1 octave on the E strings or
Okay.
on the D strings.
So they're tuned in octave.
Yes, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. The sound because and it's different because it makes you connect the chords in different way because it's like it's like the second inversion of an open C.
Oh, C chord.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. No?
So it's E G C.
Yeah, EGC, and you can find a lot of things because you can make like 4 notes, 4 notes chords or 5 notes chords.
Right,
That depends of the piece you are playing. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's this. I will show you something more the traditional thing, you know. That is like kind of traditional thing.
I very clearly hear what you're talking about, the mandolin having
Yeah, that has in common.
that aspect, yeah. Beautiful, yeah. Yeah. So that's an instrument that you were able to actually get out and start playing some in public, I read,
Oh, yes.
in the clubs and bars in
Yes,
Havana.
yes. Since I start playing the instruments, yeah. And the thing that I took the instrument, you know, what fits for me, you know. Even this because this is a very interesting instrument, you know. And as I play guitar or bass or piano, for me it's like I can do like different things with this instrument. Right now I just finished a song, but it's the main instrument is the tres on that song, and it's for the new album. And I made like a big arrangement for strings,
Oh,
you know,
wow,
for
yeah.
20 strings.
Mhm.
It's beautiful, and it has to. And I made that song in the middle of the pandemic because I got stuck in the middle of. I was touring here, but I got stuck in North Carolina, and in the middle of the forest. Like it was just me and the deers, and you know where, and you know who, and it was crazy because I was like, you know, I became a farmer, you know. Yes, I grew up everything. I was like harvesting and everything. I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing now, you know. And I was with the tres doing that, and it was taught on certain times, you know, because I was thinking about it when the wind blows, you know, we never know what was right or wrong, you know. But even I realized that the deer, I was just, looking the deers, and I was trying to close have a closure of one of the sentences, the lyrics. And I saw that deer, a young deer, and I thought, oh my goodness, I hope you make it like, because I was listening all the shootings, and it wasn't not even a season and everything, and I saw him every day, because I became a really farmer. I harvest everything, bell peppers, everything. I have like a lot, like 10 rows with tomatoes, with everything, And every day the deers came to,
ate something. Right?
Yeah, but I was just worried about him, I don't care because there was a lot of plenty of
right.
food for him and for
enough
me,
for all. Right.
but at the end I made this song for when the wind blows, and that's it's about that always feel like haunted,
Cool.
and that's what this song is all about,
You want to play that for us?
Yeah. You can imagine the strings are so beautiful.
Puede que tú sientas que ya se acabó, puede que hoy no tengan sentido las horas gastadas de algún corazón que aún no sabe que se ha perdido. Puede que esta vez pudiera ser quien soy, puede que hoy no quiera más nada. Ya me habré perdido en esa dirección de cantarle hacia la mañana, para cuando sople el viento. No sabremos qué fue mejor, todavía pasa el tiempo, y otra vez me siento a la espera de algún casado. Puede que hayan dicho que hay una razón, puede que no salgas de casa, que no hay más canciones para la ilusión, ni caricias para tu alma. Puede que el destino apague mi reloj, puede que esté decidido. Ya no importa el cuándo, si está bien o no, solo importa que haya latido para cuando sople el viento. No sabremos qué fue mejor, todavía pasa el tiempo, y otra vez presiento tu olor para cuando sople el viento. No sabremos qué fue mejor, todavía pasa el tiempo, y otra vez presiento tu olor. No sabremos qué fue mejor, todavía pasa el tiempo.
Yeah, beautiful. Somewhere in North Carolina, there's a deer that's a co-composer credit there.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And that's on the new forthcoming
Yes.
record.
Yes.
Has that got a title yet?
Yes. It's for the. It's kind of weird. I'm like a Dali, well, with the names, because I felt so like the pretentious when you name things, you know.
Oh yeah, it's
And,
hard.
yeah.
It's hard.
But this has to do with my road, my journey, you know, and that is for I don't know how to translate para el camino que llega. It's kind of like you know, because you hope we have the horizon there, and the horizon is always, you
Receding,
know, yeah,
yes.
you know, but it's just the journey that
Right.
every day, like, you know, it should be enough to have the world beneath your feet, you know. So that's
When is that going to be ready?
well, I'm working on that, and now I'm mixing there at the house, and you know,
Okay.
it's
So-
kind of hard because I have to, you know, to send files to Europe to the strings, and you
And then
know,
get them back.
yeah, and because there's a lot of people involved, but I'm getting there now. I hope that for October
Sometime this year, then
Yeah,
fall
yes,
maybe
yeah,
of 23.
yes. I'm started releasing like single songs, you know,
Mhm.
but the whole album it will be finished for October, you know.
Good.
hopefully, yeah.
Well, that's going to be your 6th, right?
Yes.
And 3 of them are on Toomey,
Yes.
the UK label. Are
Yes.
those still available from Toomey?
Yes, there are some of them. Yeah, some of them they're still on Amazon.
Well,
or
we heard
iTunes.
something from Haiku
Yes,
earlier.
Yes, Haiku, YUSA, Breathe, all those albums are
Yeah.
still on.
And you've got a DVD of live at Ronnie Scott's.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, yeah, because I was touring a lot there. My main tours were always Europe and Japan,
Uh-huh.
and one of the shows I have every year was at Ronnie Scott's, you know, yeah, Royal Festival
right.
House.
Oh,
Ronnie
yeah.
Scott. That was amazing, beautiful, such a beautiful place, and the energy is really
Yes.
beautiful. I love
One of
to
the
play
one of the
there.
great clubs around the
Oh yes.
around the world.
Yes.
Well, you're going to be appearing here again in just a few weeks, about 4 weeks now, at the Danny Barker Festival.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to be you'll be one of the feature artists there. It's March 10th through the 12th. I think you're on the 11th, maybe.
Yeah.
I-
11 or 16.
Anyway, it's
Yeah.
one of that somewhere in that period. You're going
Yeah.
to be doing that. I wanted to ask you about Interactivo.
Mhm.
Talk about that group a little bit.
Well, that is a band. It's as the name is Interactivo. His leader is Roberto Carcases. Is one of the most accomplished and amazing piano players in Cuba, and also composer. And he's the leader of this band. And we created that band like in 2001. So we were working on my first album.
Mhm.
And from there, so we developed that, you know, being together all day.
All right.
Yeah, Roberto Carcases, Oliver Valdez was the drummer, and me. So we were spending a lot of time together, and then we decided to have a band, you know, that it was like interactive with several musicians that, you know.
All right.
And that's the main thing in Interactivo, that it has so many members. And that's the most beautiful thing, because every member of Interactivo has their own career. So
Right.
we made the Interactivo's music when we are together, and that's amazing. And because, you know, it's a big band with brasses where we make like funk music, like jazz. We have different kind of singers and 2 guitar players, 2 drummers, 2 bass players. So I play bass in some of the songs, and we have another bass player who plays like bass also, and that was a really beautiful, because in that collective, every idea matters the same,
Right.
and that was the most beautiful thing.
So it's a great conversation when you
Oh.
guys are able to get back
yes,
together.
yes, yeah. We just came back from. We were in Europe releasing the new album.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and our 20 years, Interactivo's 20 years anniversary. And we went in France and in Spain in the last July and August. We were touring, you know, just releasing the new album, and it was beautiful, you know, to be together again, the band, you know.
Yeah. I think Roberto has played Snug Harbor a couple of times.
Yes, he has been here a
Several
lot,
times,
yes,
yeah.
seveor times before I.
Great,
I was
great
playing.
player, man.
Oh yes, he's beautiful, a beautiful player. He's one of my favorite piano players. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you found your way here, but there were stops between Cuba and here, Venezuela, for a while.
No, I never lived in Venezuela.
You never lived there?
No, never. I lived for 8 years in Argentina.
Argentina, I'm sorry.
In Argentina, yes. I've been to Venezuela. But I went to play like a couple of times. Living mostly my main shows there was Brazil. Besides Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, Colombia, and Venezuela. I just went twice.
But you were living actually in
I
Argentina.
was living in Argentina
But-
for 8 years. Yeah.
And then from there to Miami?
Yes, I moved out here, and then 2018, it was the first time I came to the jazz festival with another singer-songwriter. I came directing her band,
Mm-hmm.
and it was beautiful. And I said, okay, now I'm in the United States. I was like,
This is a totally different country from the United States.
yes, it is. Yes. I'm living here, you know.
Yeah.
If you see my certificate, it says New Orleans.
Well, I know you.
I don't know.
Right. You've had some done some work with Herlin Riley.
Oh yes, with the maestro, yeah. With him was when I came in 2019 for the second time. I did a really beautiful show with him at the Jazz Market. It was I was playing his music, and he also was open to introduce me to the
Right.
New Orleans scene, and that was for me an honor. And then the first time I played at Snow Harbor was with Herlan, that he invited me to say, no, I want you to play with me. I said, okay, maestro, tell me the songs you want me to play. I said, no, I want to play your songs. I was like, wow, he's nuts, It was like, and he gets all the vibe, and it was so much fun,
Yeah.
Because he's a very generous person, because he's so open to the new sounds, to learn and to share knowledge, and I've seen him inviting so many musicians, good musicians,
Right.
And newcomers, instrumentalists. That's really not many people do that, that kind of things, that inviting,
Right.
New musicians to her.
It's one of the
stage.
qualities of the musical community here,
Yes,
generally,
yes,
but
yes.
Herlin's an exceptional example, but
Yeah.
which is one of the great things about
Yes,
being here.
I love that, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity, because it's now at Snow Harbor I play very often.
Right.
There, yeah, and it's beautiful because he kind of opened in a way for me that door, and mostly I have to thank Ariana Hall, because she
Oh, right.
introduced
The
introduced me to
Cubanola.
him,
Cubanola
Yes,
connection.
yes, and she was the one who introduced me to Herland, and to introduce me to to all the communities here,
Yeah.
and to the Indians, roots, and that was like, wow, that was mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. I really enjoyed that experience.
When did you decide to move here, YUSA?
In the middle of the pandemic, after harvesting.
After North Carolina farming?
And then I realized, okay, and now I know why you vote in November, Yeah, because I know they were waiting for the harvesting time, because it was so cold in December, and mostly all those people were farmers in a big, and then the harvesting ends in November. It was okay. Now is the time. So I knew it because that was my harvesting time. I say, and then when I read about it, I said, okay, And that was one of the civic tests. Civic test. When you say, when do you vote? When do we vote? Oh, November. And then I knew why
You know, that was the reason.
Yeah. Well, you harvested one beautiful tune, at least from that North Carolina experience.
That was so beautiful. Yes.
Well, we've got time, I think, for one, possibly two more tunes.
If we have for one more, Amor de Millones. Yeah. Sí. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro. Como pajarillo amado que vuelve, te esperé una mañana. Eso es, sentada desde mi ventana mirando el monte más verde. Al ver aparecer entre las flores del campo, me vino mejor tu canto, te volví de nuevo a tener. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verte sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro. Tu pelo con mil olores y con su brillo de estrellas fue la cosa más bella, fue un amor de millones. Al ver aparecer entre las flores del campo, yo di con la poesía que sé que te gusta tanto. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, en la ventana cuando se abren tus ojos y pienso en el antojo de tenerlo mañana. Pero sé que en tu trino también se impone un combate y dejo que me arrebate un sentimiento tan fino. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro. Amor mío, no te vayas, que yo no quiero verme sola otra vez. Amor mío, no te vayas, que lloro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the good news is, among other things, that if YUSA and the guys are willing, we have time for one more.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Fred. Muchas gracias. Thank you guys on the sound there. Thank you so much. It's always so beautiful to be here. Always. Ha, ha. Camina. Marché, supermarché. C'est combien, casier? Camina, que el tiempo camina y no espera, ni tiene partida ni avisa que llega. Qué pena, que el tiempo no tenga respuesta sincera, no sabe que llega, rodea como reloj de arena. ¡Ja, ja, ja, ja! ¡Camina! Que el tiempo camina y no espera, ni tiene partida ni avisa que llega. Qué pena, que el tiempo no tenga respuesta sincera, no sabe que llega, rodea como reloj de arena. Camina, que el tiempo camina y no espera, ni tiene partida ni avisa que llega. Qué pena, que el tiempo no tenga respuesta sincera, no sabe que llega, rodea como reloj de arena. Yemaya, Yemaya, olodo. Yemaya, 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 olodo. Hay un amor en apuros por el malecón, unos brazos que procuran ser acompañados. La impaciencia del encuentro, por otra parte el descuento anuncia. Tendrás que esperar más. Faros que no vieron cuánto podía pasar en la huida del placer que se encarna en la escalera. Pasos cortos, enredados, contratiempo, más relojes.
Voy a caminar el tiempo hasta que las 4 lleguen y lo haré sin consultar su desacuerdo conmigo. No sé si le sirva sola, no sé si le sirva en sueños, si a ti me aniquilo salvo, si no pierdo no te vayas, tengo fe, hierba mate también. Hay un amor en apuros por el malecón, unos brazos que procuran ver acompañados, la impaciencia del encuentro. Por otra parte el descuento anuncia, tendrás que esperar hasta que las 4 lleguen y lo haré sin consultar su desacuerdo conmigo. Conmigo no sé si le sirva sola, no sé si le sirva en sueños, y a ti me aniquilo salto, si no pierdo no te vayas, tengo fe y hierba mate. Camina. Marchez, super marchez, c'est combien Cassier, réforme monnaie, faire la télé, on va faire un grand échappé. Camina, que el tiempo camina y no espera, camina. Camina. Camina, que el tiempo camina y no espera. ¡Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, making a joyful
Thank you so
noise
much.
for
Muchas
us
gracias.
at the drum kit this afternoon. Great work from Yapet Perez. Making beautiful music on this 6-string bass guitar. This is Nick Benoit. And our fabulous leader on guitar, trace guitar, vocals, writing a lot of the material, YUSA. Gracias. So much fun. And you can catch YUSA right back here at the Danny Barker Festival, ladies and gentlemen. That'll run March 10th through the 12th here at the New Orleans Jazz Museum. So put that on your calendar and look forward to seeing you back for our next Talkin' Jazz in Concert session. That'll be here on a Thursday, also March 2nd. Thanks for being here with us today.